Welcome to Stand Up for Doctors. I'm your host, Kim Downey. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm beyond happy to have Dr. Diana Londoño as my guest today. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you for saying my name correctly. That never happens, and you didn't even practice it beforehand. So I know you're always very thorough. I'm sure you looked it up. So, thank you for the fantastic invitation to be here. Thank you for making me part of it, and just it's a pleasure to be here and to just share this time with you.
Okay, thank you. I'm excited and I'm really looking forward to our conversation. So I was going to tell the audience a little how we met. So I sent you a connection request on LinkedIn back in April, saying we share some mutual connections who have mentioned you. And I would assume Dr. Michael Hirsch would have been one of them, but I'm not sure who else it would have been. And you responded, okay, sounds good. And that's how we connected. And then a month later, I sent you a message complimenting you on your Kevin MD article about mistakes and self-compassion. And I also complimented you on your LinkedIn posts. They're just so incredibly insightful. And I told you that I think you're awesome. So now it's like nice for me that I can tell you in person, because I do think that you're really awesome. And then a few weeks later, you published another article on Kevin MD, The Power of Embracing Life Seasons, Rest, Reflection, and Growth. Did you know it's been shared 100 times?
No, I mean, I don't really look at the numbers. I mean, I think it's important in some ways, but I think in other ways it really isn't. I mean, there's some that have been shared 2,000 times, 100 times. Like, at the end of the day, when we focus so much on that, it's a little bit of our dopamine or reward system is like, ooh, I like shares, and then we get caught up on that a little bit, and then, you know, some of these messages are not for everybody. People are in a total different frequency, total different place. So if you're not receptive to the messages that are sometimes about love, compassion, pausing, meditation, grounding, this is just totally out of your scope. So those people are not really going to be reading. If you look at anything really in the world or in media, I mean, the things that really get attention are controversial things that pique people's anger or fear, that gets, really many times, shared multiple times. Of course, there's some good messages that also go viral, but the mass majority of people are really living in a state of fear, in a state of anger. And so to be receptive to some of these messages, so many people are not ready to hear that or to be in that space that is interesting. So I'm glad that 100 people shared it, and maybe more people read it, and that's fantastic. And those are people that I hope can help them, and then they can share with others. So I think it's good to look at, but I really don't get too tied up on it. And even one of my favorite Kim MD articles, I think it was like 20 shares, and I was so happy. I was like, oh my god, fantastic! 20 people shared it and really love this message, and that really made me happy more than the one that was 2,000 shares. So it just I take that with a grain of salt, I guess I would say.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point. It just means though that it did resonate with a lot of people. And
Yeah.
I thanked you for writing that article, as it was a message I really needed to hear for myself, and I thought it was wonderfully written. And that was when you started joking and thanking me for telling you when your articles were up, because it seemed like I was seeing them before you were. And then I asked you to collaborate on our Kevin MD article, A Message of Hope for Physicians, with Doctors Jillian Rigger and Dr. Stephen Llewellyn. And it meant a lot to all four of us that Kevin posted it on September 17th, which was National Physician Suicide Awareness Day. And I'm just so grateful to finally have an opportunity to have a conversation with you. And today, our primary topic will be the organization that you founded to support your colleagues, physician coach support. And my goal for this episode is for even one physician to get curious and go to your website and give it a try. It's free, it's confidential, and it can make all the difference.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you for that. It's just one, option, one choice, one place, one step that we can take into our wellness. And I remember people even ask me, well, how do you know it's that it's successful, or how do you measure success? And I'm like, I measure success by the fact that somebody took a step into their wellness, into being curious, like you said, like, what can I do? Because likely currently the system they're in, the place they're in, their emotional state is not ideal. As you well know, you're advocate for all this burnout in physicians, but really across the globe, we're not in a place that is in wellness truly. So when we start getting curious, actually, that is a crucial step to get out of fight or flight, because you cannot be in fight or flight and be curious. It just doesn't work. It's like oil and water. So that first step of like, what is that? What can they do? And taking those steps, whichever way it takes you, to get to a better place, whether it's peer support, whether it's a
Mhm.
coach, whether it's a therapist, whether
Mhm.
it's starting an exercise routine,
Mhm.
whether it's eating better, cutting out the sugar, cutting out alcohol, smoking, all the bad vices we have, and taking a step for your wellness, that's crucial. So anything that people want to do is a great first step, but we have to take the step. We have to say, this is enough. I don't want to be miserable, overwhelmed, crying every day, having back pain, having shoulder pain, having all these manifestations of stress and burnout. And I want a different life. So
Mhm.
yeah, physician coach support is a great step, but any step is the perfect step.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So before we get directly into our main conversation about physician coach support, what would you most like our audience to know about you?
Well, I think that we are all in the same boat. Like we all have, struggled with many things like burnout, stress, all these emotions that we all have that we try to keep hidden and that we think it doesn't happen to us and we're alone and nobody can help us. And I just want to sort of show a picture that yes, you can get out of it. You can be joyful and happy and well and not sick. But
Hmm.
again, going back to the first thing is like you have to take a step into realizing you need a better way of living and really getting still, really thinking about making a routine for yourself where you're not just being bombarded by this negativity, the stress, this fear, all the stuff that sometimes we can see in the news or social media, and really paying attention to what are we consuming, both emotionally, both physically,
Hmm.
and what are we putting our time and our attention to,
Hmm.
especially physicians, but anybody. We're always like, go, 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 do,
Right.
do, do. And we don't make that time to pause, and that's a crucial time
Hmm.
to reset our nervous system because we really are in a fight or flight all the time. And we
Hmm.
need to reset the nervous system so that we're not fight, flight, we're not angry, we're not reactive, we're not, start going into that curve. And, the polyvagal theory means there's
Hmm.
vagus nerve, the largest nerve in the body, has two branches. But as we start going into fight or flight, it actually starts moving out of that anger and all that to apathy, to hopelessness. And then really like that's one step away from suicide. And that's just our nervous system, what is doing to protect us from this chronic stress. So what do we have to do? We have to reverse that chronic fight or flight and find ways, activities, times to reverse it. So I was definitely there with all the chronic signs of stress. I kind of mentioned some of them physical, but insomnia, your hair falls out, you
Hmm.
had reflux, I had chest pain, I had joint pain,
Hmm.
the whole slew of physical manifestations. And autoimmune disease, when you have joint pain and your rheumatoid factors go up, that's an autoimmune disease. You start attacking your own body. So I didn't change jobs or family or anything else. I have the same family, the same job,
Hmm.
but you really change what you focus on. And that can be, yes, with the help of the coach, with the help of yourself doing the work, but we
Hmm.
have to do the work. And we
Right.
really have to move out of being a victim, like everything's happening to us,
Right.
and we have no control, no choice, to really being an active participant and a creator of the life. And that takes discomfort, that takes time, work, but it's really crucial if you want to be in a better place.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. So if we go on to talk about physician coach support, your website is excellent and it answers so many questions. There are likely physicians listening who haven't yet heard about physician coach support. And we know that coaching has been a lifeline for so many physicians. And we know there are physicians who remain skeptical about coaching. We know that agreeing to give coaching a try can feel vulnerable for someone who hasn't tried it, and feeling vulnerable can feel scary and not safe for anyone, not just for physicians. So I'd like you to tell us what you most want the audience to know about physician coach support, and perhaps walk us through, if a physician is listening, becomes curious and decides to give it a try, share the process step by step so there aren't any unknowns and they can know exactly what to expect.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's actually really simple. You go to the website, physiciancoachsupport.com. You go to make an appointment tab and you click on your time zone, and then it'll give you the list of times that are available for somebody to be there in an appointment. That person on the other side is a physician, and they're all certified life coaches. So we're not really doing free coaching per se. We're doing support for our peers using life coach skills, which is different than support that a psychiatrist would do, different than support that your friend is going to do, because your best friend is going to approach things differently than a therapist or a coach. So we're just using the skills we learn as coaches to help you and support you when whatever thing is stressing you out, make you, depleted, frustrated, overwhelmed, feeling like an imposter. So, it's anything and everything. It could be from work, it could be from home life, it could be, what should you do with your best friend that you feel is driving you crazy? And that's bringing stress. So you go there again, you click on the time, you get an email right away. It gives you a Zoom link and obviously the time, the date, and then you just show up on Zoom at that time, and there's going to be a physician who is a coach, like I said, and it's going to talk to you about anything you want. You have up to an hour, but if you need 20 minutes, great. If you need 30 minutes, great. But you can have up to an hour to talk about anything. It is confidential. Everybody signs a confidentiality agreement, means they can never disclose that. I mean, it's a legal document they sign. And we don't disclose any information to anybody. We don't spam you. We don't email you. We don't do anything except want to make sure you arrive on time, to be mindful of the coach's time, because they're there, just for you. So it's really simple. We've been there more than 2 years now. We just crossed our 2-year mark. We've had the coaches that are volunteers there, many of them since the beginning, and they haven't left. And it really has been really a joyful experience for them as well. And obviously for the people that have come, we've gotten really good feedback of people that felt this is just a great option. Even in the physicians that may have an internal, coach support at their own facility. So, it's just a support system. And again, we're just using coaching skills. And it doesn't mean you have to get coaching later, but if it intrigues you, if you think like, well, this approach was useful, then maybe you find a coach long term. So it's just like when you go to the gym, you get, 1 week free. Well, it's helpful. You realize it was helpful. But then you may want longer support, somebody to guide you, somebody to get you from A to Z, like whatever it is, weight loss, relationships, change of jobs. It's like somebody that helps you get there faster and kind of holds your hand and guides you and keeps you accountable. That's what a coach is. And I know people are skeptical, but all the successful, famous athletes, entrepreneurs, Oprah, I mean, whoever you want to think about, they have multiple coaches. I don't know why we're so afraid of this. Like this is some bad thing. And again, coaching, if it's not your thing, you really have to be ready for coaching. You have to be ready to say, I want to make a change. And if you're so overwhelmed, you may need a therapist, and many people actually do come and realize, well, I didn't know what to expect, but then I realized I need a therapist. So then they take those steps, hopefully, right, to then get therapy, to get counseling, to make those changes in their sleep habits, their nutrition, like whatever, all these things that really affect us all, our whole body. So it's really simple, and again, you can come as often as you like. There's no time you don't, have to come only once or twice. If you needed more, you come, but it's free. I mean, there's nothing out there that's free, pure
Right.
support. And so we're just really there because we believe in hope. We believe in paying it forward. Many of us have been there, and you can get to the other side. Like just an example that life doesn't have to be that hard and that terrible, but we do have to make a change. Like it won't
Right.
change if we keep doing the same things over and over.
Right, exactly. And I know that Dr. Michael Hirsch has said that if you that a coach had said to him, if you don't do something different, what will change? And that would be nothing, right? So I like the way you said that, is just making that step, just going to this site, even if then through the first coaching session, you realize that, okay, well, it's not coaching I need, but it's something else that maybe I do want to connect with a therapist, or you might figure something else out. So that's a good point. It's just trying something different. And the other thing I think that you said is a really good point is that these are human issues. So it could be work related. Some physicians might think, oh, well, I can only talk about if it's a work related issue, right? But if you can talk about anything at physician, and sometimes the biggest problem in your life might not be work related, right? You could have any kind of stressors at home, right? And
Absolutely. You're a
being able to.
caretaker, you're a sandwich, you're
Mhm,
taking care of kids and like older parents, and that's stressful. Again, maybe you feel inadequate with your relationship, with your partner, whatever it is. I mean, that
right.
really affects us. So stress is really how we perceive an event, because it can be the same event, but for some people it's fantastic, or for some people it's terrifying. It's just like that thought of a roller coaster. Some people might think, oh my God, it's amazing. And some people are like terrified and are really suffering. And it's the same event. So, how
Mhm,
we see things, how we
right.
perceive it, really changes our internal state, and our thoughts truly, truly, truly affect us physically, obviously mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So it's just important to think about it. Again, start on a path. And for me, coaching was a path out of burnout, but it really, for me, it was a lot deeper. I had to then start diving deeper, not just the thoughts, but
Mhm,
what's behind it and what's the why. And it really went more to a spiritual journey. But
mhm.
again, whatever journey it takes you on, that's okay, but it has to be a journey to get to a better place.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I just think it is very important for them, for physicians to know that there's no topic that's off limits. And coaches, we know when you take your coaching training, right? You got coached on different topics. The coaches practice coaching on different topics, right? It's anything. It's human things.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
love how you put that.
So,
It's definitely just human. They're just emotions. And I think why it's so scary is because in society, in the world, we're always taught to not show emotions. Like boys don't cry and little girls stop whining. Or, it's like, why do we say that? Just there are emotions. Like they're not going to kill us if we have them, but they do kill us when we repress them, when we hold them in, when we don't let them go, when we don't bring them to the surface. Then they get stuck literally in our bodies and cause pain and diseases and all kinds of things. So
mhm,
emotions are just part of our humanity. If not, we just really become robots, because robots don't have emotions. So it's just our humanity, and embracing that and realizing, yeah, we can be angry, we can be upset, we can be overwhelmed. That's okay. But then why? Becoming curious, kind of going back to even why, and really unearthing what else is going on, and again going down that place of being compassionate that we're having these emotions, and why are they showing up, and what can we do, maybe just by looking at things a little differently. That could make the huge difference of like not being angry, not being overwhelmed, realizing, oh, okay, there could be a different viewpoint to this. There could be a different perspective I didn't understand or I didn't realize, and that could be the whole difference of just feeling
right.
better.
Right, exactly. I've experienced that myself.
Mhm.
And so one
Yeah.
question that physicians might wonder is how are the coaches vetted to participate in coach support? And I know, like you said, and I believe it 100% that it's all confidential. Nobody is sharing your information with anyone. But how did you come up with the physicians to participate? How are
Yeah,
they?
they actually, that's a great question. I mean, they actually reached out to me when I started the program, and I actually have never even, publicized that I need coaches. They've all sort of come, and I
Wow.
don't really publicize because we have a lot. We have too many now, in a way, and they're vetted by making sure they went to either accredited or a certification process that again has been vetted, or is not just like a 2-week course. And I meet with them. I talk to them before just to kind of see what their style is, what their experience is. And again, they all sign not only confidentiality, but there's rules. For example, they can't what we call poach people that come in. Like they can't say, "Oh, you should join my 6-week program."
Okay.
After the session. It's not
Yeah.
about that. It's not about them trying to get clients. It really is about support and service. And if anybody ever starts doing that, they get removed as a volunteer. It has never happened. I'm sure it
Mhm.
could, but it's really strict rules that we're not there to sell things. I know people have a lot of conceptions, ideas about coaching and selling and businesses. That's fine. Those are ideas, but realize that's not the purpose of this. We're not trying to get people to come to our programs. If it helps you, then yeah, go into the volunteer tab, look up their
Mhm.
information, and
Right,
see
right.
what programs they have. Either that person that you spoke to, or maybe somebody else that may be in a different sort of niche or thing that you need help on. Maybe it's more business related for you. Maybe it's more
Mhm.
relationship related. Whatever it is, some people focus on different things. So it's there just to help you, to guide you, to again keep you curious, think
Mhm.
about it, maybe come back to that coach or any other coach perhaps that can help you. But it's not about join my program, I'm
Right.
going to help you. It's not about that. So they're vetted for their compassion, they're
Mhm.
vetted for their skill, they're very vetted for their ability and desire to help others, and they really are just wonderful, wonderful people,
Mhm.
physicians that are really just really have made a great impact in so many people.
Yeah, well, that's great. And thank you for pointing that out, that no one is going to be trying to solicit business, from
Mhm.
the so that would be a relief, to the physician seeking the support. And also thanks to any of you out there listening who are part of that. And God bless you, right? That you're busy and your doctors and you're helping other doctors, volunteering your time. So that's really wonderful. And I also appreciate that you have physician coach support, but you earlier in this program shared that people might be looking for other things, right? And your program isn't the only one out there. And one thing that I thought of is some doctors do prefer a coach who is another physician because they get it, right? They have the lived experience. And occasionally a physician might not feel comfortable opening up to another doctor at first. They still kind of have that armor on that I have to walk around, looking and acting like everything is okay, especially to other doctors. And one other option that I just thought I'd share for the audience that I'm aware of is Physicians Anonymous. And they too offer free and confidential coaching. My understanding is it's more of a group setting, or you
Mhm.
can connect directly with any of the coaches, and some of whom are physicians and some are not. And I made sure I've had conversations with a couple of them, basically, that are physicians and are not. And I would say that I would trust any of them to guide me and to keep confidentiality. So that's just another option that physicians might want to keep in mind. Uh,
Correct. And there's also, they're all actually are on our website under resources. Physician
okay.
Anonymous is there. And also a physician support line, which is a phone
Hmm.
line, also
Yeah.
confidential. The difference is all the physicians there are psychiatrists. They
Hmm.
don't prescribe, they don't do long-term therapy, but they're definitely there for any support, again, using their psychiatry skills sets. And so that's also on our website as a resource. So again, there's different places. These are, again, all physician led, and I've used them all. I am not just speaking as, oh, it would be a good idea.
Right.
I've been to
Yeah.
those meetings. I've called physician support line before mine existed, and they're
Hmm.
absolutely so helpful. And the actually physician support line was really what gave me hope that, just like you said, somebody who's busy, who has a full-time job, has kids, has a family, has so many things going on, uses their time to support physicians. If that doesn't give you hope in the world, I don't know what will. And so
Right.
for me, that really was that seed of hope that led me to start physician coach support. So again, there's different ones that are physician led, but even if that's not your cup of tea, then again, just try something. But it's so important to let go of this facade that we're perfect, that not, that it's vulnerable and terrible to speak out about our emotions. We all
Right.
have them, and we're really there just to get us out of this terrible place of burnout and stress and leaving medicine. We want physicians to be happy. We want physicians to be thriving. We are all patients, and
Hmm.
so we all
Exactly.
either benefit or suffer from physicians who are not well.
Right, exactly, 100%. Yeah. Well, thank you. I think this has been a great conversation so far. And since we all like to have a little fun, if you had a joke or funny story to share, feel free to share it.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna put my urology hat, so it's gonna be a urology joke. So it's still PG something.
Okay.
So just take it lightly. But it's so important to again have a sense of humor, to laugh, to just realize life doesn't have to be so hard. So the joke is, life is like a penis. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, but it won't be hard forever.
Okay. All right, that's a good one. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Cam. Thank
Oh,
you.
okay, so let's see. If you would like to share any top tips you have for your colleagues, from seasoned physicians to medical students, or even those considering med school.
Any what?
Top tips you have for your colleagues.
Oh, just I think the tip is realize your worth, realize your power. We really have power. You're not powerless. Even as the medical students, even as the residents, you have so much power. And also there's power in numbers. So realize that you are not powerless, you are not voiceless, even if you are in a place, institution, program that you feel, you're not being listened to. Like, thankfully now there's actually social media, and it's not to go out there and rant and say awful things, but use these tools, these skills that you may have for good, for impact, for collaborating. So never feel powerless, never feel you're not worthy. I think a lot of the training, sometimes people believe that we're not worthy, that we're just minuscule, that we're insignificant, and that's just not really true. And so just truly believe it in your heart that you are, worthy. No matter what accolades, what diplomas, fancy paperwork you have, it really doesn't change your worthiness. And that joy inside you, keep it. That hobby that you makes you joyful, keep it. Those things that wake you up in the morning, your why is so important. That usually is what carried you to training. Your why was so deep that, it led you to go through all those sleepless nights because your why was so important. So whenever you have doubt, think about your why. Think about why you're doing things. And if it's not lining up the why, then it's time to make a change. It's not a time to kind of bear through it, to kind of push through it, because your soul is going to tell you this is not the right path. So listen to yourself, listen to your why. And if you are confused on your why, spend time, quiet time, to think about this stuff. And this is really important. And
Mhm.
so having a purpose in life really is something that is going to bring you joy, bring you health, bring a sense of community and togetherness when you every day have a purpose, every day have a sense of your why. So those are some tips I would say. Really spend time to cultivate that, to think about that, and to not get really, listen to those other outside thoughts or ideas or people's opinions. Just really root in your own self worth.
Thank you. That's really good advice. Yeah, people should take heed of that. So how can our listeners get in touch with you?
You can go to my own website. It's called Diana Londoño, MD, at medicaldoctor.com. It says a lot about, what I do, my writings, things I do talk about, podcasts I've been on, just to get an idea of me, but also physiciancoachsupport.com, as we talked about, or any social media platform, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, anyone that you like, you can reach out. I'm mostly on LinkedIn, but again, you can reach out anyway, any platform. If any of this resonated, you want to talk about more, definitely love to talk about this topic. Love to try to share some ideas. Again, I've been there, I've gotten out of it. It's work. It doesn't just poof go away. You really have to cultivate something daily to stay focused on, again, your why, the time for rest, and all these things are important for your health. But if we can do it, we all can do it. It just takes some work.
Exactly. And well, everyone knows they can find me on LinkedIn. And if you click like and subscribe, I have so many more great guests to come. And thank you again so much for being my guest today, Diana, and talking about this critically important issue of supporting physicians.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for not being a victim, for taking, action, for doing so much, really being such a voice. I know people are flooding to be on your podcast because they really appreciate what you do and, your heart, your compassion. And again, we can all do something. You don't have to be a physician.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're not a physician, we could all
Mm-hmm.
do something, anything. And you don't even have to have a podcast, but you could do one small difference every day on somebody's life to really get to a better place for all of us. So I appreciate you. I really do. And thank you. And I just wish you continued success, Kim.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So, in closing, to move the needle in healthcare, we all need to raise our voices and we all need to care about each other. We already know that doctors need to care about patients. Patients need to care about doctors too. So stand up, doctors, and let's stand up for doctors.